Glenn Parker High Vibration Foundation, thank you for joining me. So today I wanted to talk about beans. Now, you can love them, you can hate them. I'm hoping that you'll love them more after you watch this video because I'm going to give you some tips to eliminate gas, different ways to prepare them, and if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, or even if you're just having a standard diet and you want to supplement it a little bit more, beans are fantastic for testosterone. They're full of all kinds of things. And there's such a variety of them. You can probably have different beans every day for a very, very, very long time. So I have some examples of black beans. I love black beans. Now you're going to have to scrub out the pot afterward. Black beans do live up to their name. The pot is black afterward, even nice old stainless steel. But extremely nutritious. I've noticed as far as yeast and other things that they must have some kind of acid in them to be able to negate yeast like coconut oil does. Another one that I just tried last week, which is awesome, and I bought some more, is mung beans. Like a little tiny pea, but it's a bean. It cooks really fast, like 20 to 30 minutes. You don't have to worry about gas with these as you do like with the black beans. But we're going to talk about that, boys and girls. So this is highly nutritious. It's nice because it cooks in the same amount of cook time that rice would cook or any kind of cereal. Not like steel cut groats, but like buckwheat groats and like other types of cereals. You can cook them concurrently if you want to add some beans for some protein and some more balanced nutrition and a variety of, amino acids and all these other things. You can cook them concurrently. You don't have to cook them separately. You can cook them together concurrently, and they're done in the same amount of time so that they have the same consistency, and you don't have to wait. So you can come home, you can start them, you can cook them, you can leave them, and you can come back to them after you maybe showered or done your workout or whatever, and boom, they're ready to go, which is really nice. And this is, as you can see from the price, is like $5.50. This is 1.09 pounds or $4.99 a pound. This is these things blow up like 3 to 5, 6 times their size. These things, you have like 6 to 10 servings in here, depending on how, if you do 8 or 16 ounce servings and how much you want in one shot. I'm kind of lazy. I throw them in the blender. I throw them in with like some scallions or some chives and sometimes even a little bit of garlic and other things, and I blend them so that I don't have to chew them because blend is lazy. I just did say that. Now you're getting a sense of how lazy I am. So with these, you don't need to worry about gas. You can cook them, you're good to go. But if you are worried about gas, with these or any other type of bean, there's a couple things you can do. You can, and I haven't done this personally because I found another way to do it that I like a little better, makes the bean a little bit more tender, and but you have to have a little extra time. But the other way is to add some iodine. A couple drops of iodine. I don't have a formula for that. I would say probably per 16 ounces of water, like 1 drop per 16 ounces of water. So, like 4 drops in for this whole 16 ounce. Because you have like 4 cups of water in relation to this to start. I mean, it gets bigger after that. And then you can leave it for like 4 hours, or you can leave it overnight. Another way, which is a lot more effective, and I'm looking at all these chefs and I'm watching all these sites because I love beans. I started reintroducing beans earlier this year, and I'm up all night. I have gas, and it's like, ooh, baby, you're rotten inside. Yeah, it kind of can hurt relationships sometimes. So a way to get rid of that and have a little bit more comfort and romance in your life is to pre-soak them. But after you've pre-soaked them, and 4 to 6 hours for pre-soaking is ideal for any type of bean because then they rehydrate. It's easier to cook them. And I don't know if they're more nutritious, but they're probably more nutritious as a net result because you've actually soaked them. But if you go ahead and pre-soak them, and after you've pre-soaked them, and you don't have to pre-soak them, but if you want to get rid of the gas, you need to do this. You need to cook them for 15 minutes. When I say cook, I don't mean the fire on and it warming up. I mean at a boil, a hard boil, for 15 minutes. And you need to have a big enough pot so that you can achieve a hard boil without it spilling over. And I don't suggest the lids that actually have the little vent hole, because you're venting off a ton of nutrition. You're constantly adding water on, and they take a lot of tending to. I suggest getting it to a boil, and it uses a lot more energy too when you're actually cooking. So you're actually spending a little bit more money to get your per unit of food. And Glen is also cheap, frugal. So I think that money could be spent on other things. So what you do is you cook it for 15 minutes. When I say cook, again, a hard boil for 15 minutes. So when it comes up and it's at a hard boil, at least 15 minutes, 20 if you can, and then you leave it. Don't open it, don't look at it, don't stir it, just leave it. And leave it for at least an hour. And what will happen is it changes the biochemistry in such a way that I have had a very, very, very minimal, if any, gas at all. And that has worked on any and every kind of bean. Kidney beans, these other Asian beans that I get that I can't pronounce, start with an A. The mung beans, those cooked in a very small amount of time. But like these, the black beans, they take a while to cook. These take hours to cook at a hard boil, like a couple hours to get good and cooked. That's even soaking them and pre-cooking them. They take like an hour and a half when you pre-cook them for 15 minutes and leave it for an hour. But when you leave it for an hour, at least and maybe two, and you come back and do a full cooking cycle, it's easier to cook. You can leave it and you can go on. You can go see a movie. You can go do whatever you need to do, and you can come back and cook them when you can supervise them. Don't leave anything on fire when you're not at home, boys and girls. Bad, but for as long as you can supervise them, do it. And I've noticed no gas every time I've done that, and with a variety of different types of beans, and beans that are really, really nasty, like pinto beans, I did the same thing too, and they were fine. And try to buy organic as often as you can, and for anything and everything. And I've had this conversation with someone, and I'm sitting in the store, and I'm overhearing these two people have a conversation. Why would you ever buy organic? And they're looking at the regular and the organic, and I stopped by. I'm like, hey, may I ask you a question? They're like, hey. I'm like, do you buy bottled water or do you drink your tap water? And they're looking at me like, well, you're crazy. We buy bottled water. We have it delivered. We have a filtration system, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so organic banana, bottled water, regular banana, tap water. And they're like, because the bananas that don't make it into a standardization of what is in them and the amount of toxicity and insecticides and herbicides and all this good stuff get rejected into the bad banana pile. Well, not bad, but the regular banana pile, which is your regular drinking water. And that's the difference between organic and regular. And they're looking at each other and they're like, oh, okay. And I like that analogy because it is true. I mean, if they do sample tests and they find that there's that sample, then that whole batch gets into the regular batch and they're not qualified as bananas. So I think organic should just be a standard that it's food, but that's neither here nor there, boys and girls. Beans, very, very, very cost effective. So this package that was $4.59, which is over a pound at $3.99 a pound, organic, could last you in a variety of different ways. I mean, you could add them to cereals. You can do them in a variety of different ways. You can add, if you're having a meal and you don't adhere to mono meals, having your proteins and your starches separate. This is a protein and a starch, so it is, ideally it should be separate as a meal of its own. But you can have it with chicken and you can have it with pork. And if you're a vegan and you're living off of real food, beans are your friend. And this as a calorie and as a per meal cost is hugely inexpensive. And you can do a variety of things. You can have chips with it. You could put, if you're not full vegan and you're still eating cheese, you can put cheese, and you can have cheese and black beans and all these things, and you can use them in such a variety of way and do a little bit of meal planning. Maybe add some kale and a sprinkle of some seasoning, or some organic, some organic brown sugar and black beans. Ooh, that might be good. So there's a variety of things you can do, and it's very cost effective. And if you're working within a budget and you like to spend your money on other things, or you're planning a trip or any number of things, Beans are your friends. Highly nutritious, very inexpensive cost per meal. You can do them in such a way that they don't cause any gastric distress, and they're not very harmful on the body. They're so high in nutrition. The settlers and everybody who migrates from place to place live off of beans, and they supplement their diet with what they can hunt and find along the way. But the beans got them to A to B. You could eat beans every day, and I would imagine you'd probably have a pretty decent lifespan. Organic beans. So that's my 2 cents on that. And I will say, by doing the 15-minute boil and leaving them for at least an hour, negates 90 to 95 or more percent of the gas that is associated with beans, which is one of the reasons I gave them up in the first place, because you don't want to eat something and have your tummy hurt. Well, if you have some extra time, you can negate that and do a little planning as to how you're going to cook them. So that's everything I wanted to share. Thank you very much for joining me, boys and girls. Glenn Parker, High Vibration Foundation, coaching life, business, and spiritual. No cooking coaching, I don't think that that's my thing, but coaching life, business, and spiritual, that's my thing. So there's always stuff going on down below in the description. There's tons and tons of things in there. Check it out. So to get a coaching session, to check out the foundation, any number of things. And please do like, share, and subscribe if you found this useful.